Today we are taking a look at Momo from To Love Ru Darkness. This is the Aqua Float Girls figure by Taito. To Love Ru Darkness is a romantic comedy sci-fi series built around alien heroines, school life, and complicated relationship-driven chaos. Within that story, Momo is known for her gentle way of speaking, her clever personality, and the bold way she stirs the relationships around her. That mix of softness and calculation gives her a very distinct presence in the series. Today's highlights for this figure are the gently smiling expression, the frilled swimsuit, and the very appealing pose. The first highlight is the gently smiling expression. The mouth opens widely enough to feel bright, but the rounded shape of the eyes and the soft placement of the blush keep that smile from becoming too sharp or overly energetic. The second highlight is the frilled swimsuit. The small triangle top, the knot at the center of the chest, and the frill that circles the waist give the outfit a very clear layered layout. The waistband, the frill, and the small bow are separated cleanly, so the swimsuit does not read as one flat block even though the design is simple. The third highlight is the very appealing pose. The figure places both knees into the center of the float ring, lifts the hips high, and sends the lower legs backward, creating a strong difference between the raised center of the body and the lighter movement at the feet. The tail adds another long curve around the outside, so the pose feels active and easy to follow from one part to the next. This channel brings you figure reviews and anime merchandise updates straight from Japan. If you enjoyed this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe. The head is built around a very open and cheerful smile, but the expression stays soft because the face is organized carefully from the eyes down to the mouth. The mouth opens in a broad, upward shape, and the colored inner area sits slightly deeper inside, so the smile reads clearly from the front without becoming too heavy. The eyes are large and rounded, but the upper lines still hold their shape firmly, which keeps the expression bright while giving the gaze a clean frame. Inside the irises, the layered color separation and the white highlights gather attention into the center of the face, and the small white dots placed below the eyes help that area feel even more lively. The blush is kept light and narrow across the cheeks, so it supports the warmth of the expression without covering too much of the facial surface. The nose stays very restrained, settling naturally into the flow from the eyes to the mouth rather than projecting strongly on its own. The hair follows after that expression and supports it well. The bangs are divided into many narrow sections that drop across the forehead, and the gaps between those sections allow the eyes to stay fully readable instead of being buried under one heavy front piece. Along the sides of the face, shorter inner strands and slightly longer outer strands overlap each other, so the face is framed by more than one layer instead of being bordered by a single edge. From the top of the head into the back, the overall mass stays rounded, then falls into a bob-like shape around the neck, but the ends do not stop at one exact line. They break into small, uneven tips, which keeps the back view from looking too rigid. Near the outer side of the head, two white flower ornaments are placed one above the other, and just beside them, a short strand curves outward, giving the head a clear accent near the edge. Even from the back, the separation between the face-framing hair and the larger rear volume remains readable, so the hairstyle keeps movement all the way around the head. The upper body is arranged in a pose where the torso leans forward deeply, and that forward movement becomes the base for everything from the chest to the hands. The bikini top uses two small triangular cups, and a tiny knot at the center clearly marks the point where the two sides meet. From the upper edges of those cups, thin straps rise toward the neck without drifting away from the body, so the lines stay clean and close to the chest. Seen from the side and back, the swimsuit continues into a narrow band running across the back below the shoulder area, which makes the connection between the front and rear sections easy to follow. Because the top covers only a small area, the larger skin surfaces across the chest, ribs, and abdomen remain open, and that helps the long forward line of the upper body read very clearly. The arm placement adds even more to that presentation. One arm drops almost straight down from the shoulder and reaches the float ring, where the hand rests on the rounded upper edge. The fingers are spread gently and laid along the curve of that ring, so the hand looks placed rather than pressed flat. The other arm bends sharply upward near the face, and the hand turns inward so that only the index finger extends toward the mouth while the other fingers fold back in stages. That small change in the hand shape keeps the pose from becoming static and gives the face a matching gesture. The line from the chest into the waist also stays smooth, without a sudden break between the front of the torso and the side. Because the thin straps, the small cups, and the two very different arm angles are all working together, the upper body feels long, compact, and expressive at the same time. The lower body is built around a kneeling pose set into the center of the float ring, and the strongest feature is the way the hips rise while the lower legs are sent backward. The thighs drop down through the opening of the ring, then the knees bend and release into lighter lines behind the body, so the center of the figure stays high while the feet feel airy and lifted. The bottoms are made from a narrow main band and a frill that circles the waist separately, and the boundary between those two parts is easy to read. That matters because the frill does not simply sit flat. It rises in some sections, falls lower in others, and creates repeated waves all the way around the hips. A small bow is attached along the outer area of the waist, giving the lower half a clear point where the frill is visually gathered rather than left completely continuous. The central cloth section between the legs also remains clearly separated from the surrounding skin, so the middle line of the lower body stays controlled. The legs themselves are not treated identically. One side opens a little more while the other stays slightly closer, and that difference becomes clearer from the back, where the spacing between the knees and calves gives the pose a broader shape. The calves narrow cleanly toward the ankles, and the feet are finished with simple, softly stretched forms that keep the backward kick from becoming too sharp. From behind, the tail rises from the lower back, curves high, then comes back around the outer side of the figure before dropping into a heart-shaped tip. That tail gives the lower body an extra sweeping line separate from the legs. The float ring also contributes a lot here. Its thick upper rim, the clear outer edge, and the printed Momo name with small marks around it keep the space around the lower body visually active. Because the hands and legs overlap that ring at different points, the lower half does not stop at the hips and knees. It continues outward into the surrounding shape of the float itself. This figure is approximately 10 centimeters tall. That's about 3.9 inches. For size comparison, here's a 350 milliliter can. That's about 12 ounces in the US. Overall, Momo by Taito stands out because this figure combines a gentle, smiling expression, a frilled swimsuit, and a pose that makes strong use of the float ring and tail to guide the eye through the whole piece. The face leaves a very clear first impression. The large rounded eyes, the layered irises, and the broad open smile create a bright expression, while the light blush and the small white accents below the eyes keep that brightness feeling soft rather than too sharp. The finger lifted near the mouth adds a small gesture that supports the expression well, and because the hand stays slim and controlled, it works as part of the character's charm instead of distracting from the face. The hair also helps that impression a lot. The bangs are divided into fine sections that keep the eyes visible, while the side strands overlap in layers around the cheeks. The white flower ornaments and the short outward curving strand add a clear accent near the edge of the head, and the bob-like rear shape keeps movement through the back view without becoming too heavy. The upper body works well because the torso, swimsuit, and arm placement all support the same forward-moving pose. The body leans deeply toward the float ring, and that long forward line stays open because of the small bikini top and the thin straps rising toward the neck. The knot at the center of the chest gives the top a clear focal point, and the narrow back band keeps the connection between the front and rear sections easy to follow. One arm reaches down and spreads the fingers along the rounded edge of the ring, while the other bends toward the mouth and changes the mood of the pose through the extended index finger. That contrast between the two arms keeps the upper half from feeling repetitive and helps the whole figure feel naturally composed. The lower body gives the figure much of its appeal. The hips are lifted high, the thighs pass into the center of the float ring, and the lower legs kick backward, creating a strong contrast between the raised middle of the body and the lighter movement at the feet. The frill around the waist gives the swimsuit a much more playful layout, and the repeated waves, the separate waistband, and the small bow keep the lower half from feeling too plain. The tail adds even more to the silhouette by rising from the lower back, curving outward, and ending in a heart-shaped tip that extends the flow beyond the body itself. The float ring strengthens that presentation again with its thick, rounded form and the printed name across the surface. What makes the figure especially effective is the way the eye moves through it. The view starts around the face and hand, travels through the chest and waist, then follows the tail and the ring before returning to the legs. That makes the pose feel playful, easy to read, and full of movement without becoming busy. Because of that, fans of To Love Ru Darkness or Momo will definitely enjoy this piece. Collectors who like soft smiling expressions, cute swimsuit details, and lively compact poses should find it a very satisfying addition. That's it for this video. If there's any part of the figure you liked, feel free to leave a comment and share your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.